Hello everyone, DMFF here once again with another Genesys Format deck tech. And this time we're taking a completely different approach, and we are going with Ty's Morganite Counter Fairy. And this is a completely controlled build. It is Counter Fairies. I have covered Counter Fairies on the channel for multiple Time Wizard format decks, and has been something historically that I have played in the past, whether it be Chaos or not, something a little bit more tempo-based or something a little bit more control-based, like this one. So we will get right into it. This deck is heavily relying on counter spells, or counter traps, I should say, not counter spells. Been playing too much Magic the Gathering. But we will get started with the Counter Fairy package, the fairies themselves, and we will start with the most important of them, Bountiful Artemis, which is a very old card. 4-star monster with 1600 attack, 1700 defense. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, draw one card. This doesn't matter if it's ours or our opponent's, and if we have multiple out, we can get some absurd card advantage. We will want to normal summon this in attack position and just hold it on the field while we just counter all our opponent's plays. Next, we have 2 copies of Meltiel, Sage of the Sky. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, gain 1,000 life points. And if you do, if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, destroy one card your opponent controls non-target. This is a 1600 body as well, but it is great for field control while we have these things available to us. Next, we have Minerva, Scholar of the Sky, which is a recursion-based card here. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, this card gains 500 attack, so it also grows itself, and that 500 attack is permanent as long as its effects aren't negated. Also, and if it does, and Sanctuary of the Sky is on the field, you can add a counter trap with a different name from the one you activated from your graveyard to your hand, so it is a form of recursion. Finally, we have 2 copies of Power Angel Valkyria, which is our fairy searcher, essentially. If you negate the activation of a spell, trap, or monster effect, you can add a light fairy monster from your deck to your hand. You can only utilize the effect of it once per turn, however. So we run 2 of these. It's an 1800 body. And yeah, that's the Counter Fairy monster package. We have 2 more monsters in the deck. There is Sacred Archfiend Air Knight Parshath, which also kind of is a Counter Fairy itself. It is a Counter Fairy itself. If you activate a counter trap card or negate the activation of a spell, trap, or monster effect, except during the banish step, or during the damage step, you can banish 2 other fairy monsters from your hand, field, or grave to special summon this card from your grave or hand. If this card attacks a defense position monster, Pierce. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can add a Parshath or counter trap card from your deck to your hand, which is really powerful. This is like the power-crept version of Air Knight Parshath, and is easily special summoned from the hand or graveyard, utilizing its own effect, or can be special summoned from the deck, utilizing other effects in our deck. Finally, for the monsters, rounding them out here, we have Barrier Statue of the Heavens. Neither player can special summon monsters except for light monsters, which will absolutely come in handy against many, many decks, and we actually have a very easy way to get that out, but we'll get into that shortly. Now we're going to go into the spell and trap cards of the deck. We have 1 copy of Double or Nothing in here, just as a solid way to be able to OTK. That couples with some of the stuff in our extra deck, though our extra deck is kind of like a sacrificial lamb a little bit, as we are going to be utilizing Pot of Extravagance, and we're going to be banishing 6 random face-down cards to be able to draw 2 cards. Because of this, everything that is in our extra deck, we're running 3 of, so then that way we can have consistency and be able to go into the things that we may want to. Next, we'll actually go over the Morganite cards. We have 3 copies of Guilt-Gripping Morganite, and I may test this further and I might drop this down to 2, but I do feel it is quite important in this deck, especially because Guiding Adrian, or whatever its name is, the Pendulum monster, is not available in this format. And it itself makes it so then we don't pay life points to activate spell or trap cards or discard. Guilt Gripping Morganite kind of resolves that. For the rest of the duel, apply the following effects. You cannot activate monster effects from the hand. Luckily, we don't have anything like that. You can normal summon level 5 or higher monsters without tributing. And we do not pay life points to activate spell or trap cards. And that's for the rest of the duel. Blanket effect, very powerful. But we can really only activate that from the hand once. Additionally, you can banish this card from your graveyard, reveal any Morganite card from your hand, place the revealed card at the bottom of the deck and draw a card. It is further consistency as well, so it isn't completely dead as long as we have a Guilt Gripping in the graveyard. We have one copy of Pot of Duality, as it actually works very well alongside Pot of Extravagance. Technically, Pot of Duality does not draw cards. It excavates them, and then you add to your hand. So you can utilize Pot of Extravagance right at the beginning of the main phase 1, and then also Pot of Duality. Though we do special summon in this deck, it is significantly less than any other deck that's out there right now. So Pot of Duality, its downside really isn't felt in this deck, and running them both in tandem actually feels really good if we have both of them in hand, as opposed to having like 2 Pot of Dualities in hand or 2 Pot of Extravagance in hand. I think these two together actually makes the most consistent sense. Now we have 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren, which is very important in this deck. You pay 2,000 life points to target a level 4 or lower monster you control. For the rest of the turn, you can't special summon monsters. After this effect resolves, of course. Also, special summon 2 monsters from your deck with the same type, attribute, and level as that monster, but with different names. So we can get multiples of things. So, like, let's say we have one Bountiful Artemis. We want to be able to have some field presence. We can get a Meltiel, and we can get Minerva, so then we can have some recursion. Or if we want more tutor power, we could get out a Power Angel Valkyria. Or, in other instances, we can get out one of whatever we need, whether it be field presence, recursion, or tutor ability, and get it alongside Barrier Statue of the Heavens to lock out our opponent from being able to special summon monsters except light monsters. Very powerful lock that can be easily done with Ties of the Brethren. 3 copies of the Sacred Waters in the Sky. Activate 1 Sanctuary of the Sky directly from the deck, or you can search for a monster that mentions it and add it to your hand. Then, if the Sanctuary of the Sky is on the field or in either graveyard, you can gain 500 life points for each Hyperion and Agent monster. We aren't utilizing that at all. If your monster that mentions Sanctuary in the Sky would be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead. And you can only use each of the effects of this card once per turn. Really powerful card, a great searcher, to be able to basically do whatever this deck wants. It's very powerful. It helps protect our monsters on board as well. Then, of course, we have Sanctuary of the Sky itself, which is very old. Battle damage to the controller of a fairy monster from battle involving that monster becomes 0. That's all it does, but it also activates all of our other effects that mention the Sanctuary in the Sky, so it is absolutely required. The Sanctum of Parshath is another Sanctuary of the Sky type card. Its name becomes Sanctuary of the Sky while it's on the field or in the graveyard. Fairy monsters on the field get 300 attack defense. Set spells, traps cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, neither player can target them with card effects. Once per turn, you can target a total of 3 fairy monsters and or counter traps with different names in the graveyard and place them on top of our deck in any order. Really strong stuff as well, and can be activated from the deck. Or can be found from the deck with Sacred Arch Air Knight Parshath. Now here's the other part of the Morganite package, Time Tearing Morganite, which is really powerful. For the rest of the duel, apply these effects. You cannot activate monster effects, as is with all of them, but you draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw during the draw phase, and you can also conduct 2 normal summon sets per turn, not just 1. Additionally, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then discard 1 Time Tearing Morganite. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects when you normal summon this turn, which is really good, so they won't even be able to, like, solemn or stop a normal summon from happening against us, which is great. And further adds to the consistency of the deck. Being able to draw 2 times each turn is insanely powerful, and the 2 normal summon sets per turn is also quite powerful. That is all the spells for the deck. Now we'll get onto the traps, and they are all counter traps. We have 1 copy of Negate Attack just to be able to negate an attack and then end the battle phase. It is not going to be... It is probably our least powerful counter trap in the deck, but it is there. We do have an additional copy in the sideboard as well, just in case we have some really aggressive decks that we need to stop their attacks. Next, we have Rebirth of Parshath. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, we can reveal a counter trap in our hand, then discard 1 card, pay 1,000 life points, negate the activation, shuffle that card into the deck, which is amazing removal. Then you can special summon a Parshath monster from your deck or extra deck. Sacred Arch Air Knight Parshath, anyone? There's another Parshath that we can summon from our extra deck, and we'll get into that when we get there. But this is a really powerful counter trap. We just need to have counter traps in our hand to be able to activate it, which is why we run 13 total, for a really good, consistent way to be able to see them. 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, amazing Omni-Negate. When a monster would be summoned or a spell trap card is activated, pay half your life points, negate the summon or effect, and destroy the card. Solemn Strike, 3 of again, another great negate, which stops special summons or monster effects by paying 1,500 life points. To round out the counter traps and finish the deck, we have 2 copies of Ultimate Providence. An Omni-Negate that does require that we discard, but that is actually kind of good, as it will allow us to get more of our Guilt-Gripping Morganites into the graveyard as well. So that's the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck now. 3 copies of everything. We have 3 copies of Avenging Knight Parshath that can only be gotten out with Rebirth of Parshath. But once per turn, you can target a face-up monster, change that target's battle position, and then if this attacks a defense position monster, pierce. So it isn't super good, but it's a free body that we can get out. We can change things to defense position to be able to attack over them, or even to attack position if they're high defense monsters, as they do exist. Then, that's all for the Synchros, because that's the only way that it can be brought out. The rest is rank 4 exceeds. And we have 3 number 39 Utopia doubles, so then that way we are more likely to be able to see it. So then that way we can go into number 39 Utopia, double its attack, negate the attack with the double or nothing, and then double its attack again, and then holy crap, it's a 10k attacking over our monsters, which makes it so then it's great OTK potential between them. If for some reason our Pot of Extravagance has banished all 3 copies of Utopia double, we can make Utopia, and then on top of Utopia, we can go into number S39, Utopia the Lightning, which is really good. If it battles, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. Once per chain during the damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster while it has Utopia Exceeds Monster as material quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from it to have this card become a 5,000 attack during that damage calc only. So while it isn't as immediately threatening OTK power, it is more protected OTK power if that's what we need in the time being, and is also like a backup if for some reason our Utopia double has been all banished. Finally, we have 3 copies of Tornado Dragon. It's just a solid back row destruction. If our opponent is also running heavy back row, we have a way to remove it on a monster with this Tornado Dragon. And that's the extra deck. Now let's get into the side deck, and that will cover the entirety of the deck. 2 copies of the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode as a board breaker. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone for banish back row removal, and can also work well with our Guilt Gripping Morganite, as we won't have to pay the cost. 1 copy of Dark Hole as another board breaking option. 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More as blanket negate to make our board breakers work. 3 copies of Debunk for any hand traps that are monsters specifically, and it will banish them, which is great. 2 copies of Drastic Drop-Off, like a lesser version of something like Ash Blossom. Instead of negating it, they discard the card, but it is a counter trap. 2 copies of Iron Thunder as a solid on-field Omni-Negate, and also destroys all other cards in the same column as the destroyed card was. The final card is that last copy of Negate Attack that we were talking about earlier, just in case we run into super aggressive decks and we need more attack negate. But that's the deck. The deck is really straightforward and simple. However, in order to pilot this deck and be successful with it, it is quite nuanced and difficult. You have to know what to negate and when to negate it. But this deck is a ton of fun. If you like old school style control decks, this deck might be for you. It adds some modern sentiments into the deck while keeping that core of Counter Fairy from back in the 2000s alive. So if you're a big Counter Fairy fan like I am, please give this deck a try. It is absolutely fun, and I think it claps cheeks, especially if you know what you're doing with it. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Deck Tech. If you enjoyed the video, please do all the things, like, subscribe, comment. It really helps my channel grow, and I appreciate you all for helping it grow. Thank you so much to KMAL3170, my one VIP DMFFer. If you would like your name read off at the end of my videos, join my Patreon today. It is down in the description. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.